Welcome back to Sunday Brunch Live. Simon is about to cook with Bethany. Look at her, she looks amazing. Like, you should have dressed up this morning, Simon.
Yes.
This looks fantastic. First, we've been asking you to send in your pictures of favourite bridges.
Yes.
Have we got some more?
Janet's favourite bridge is the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. I love that bridge.
Why do you love that bridge?
It's beautiful. I like the setting of it. I like the fact that anything that I like spanned bridges.
Right. So which is the bridge that you don't like again?
I like all bridges.
Good.
Stamford Bridge is anywhere I'm particularly fond of, Tim.
I'll get you.
Paul and his wife cycled over their favourite bridge. This is probably my favourite bridge, I reckon. The Golden Gate Bridge on a recent trip to San Francisco.
Oh, he's been to San Francisco.
Tim has a thing, just so you know, that he feels that people's choice of favourite bridge. Be careful this when you're sending these in.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
It's a reflection
He's making this up.
of what you want to show to people. Julie, what about this one, Tim? Julie kayaked under the Pont du Gard, an ancient Roman aqueduct in southern France that was supposedly built in the year 198 BC.
Oh, I've been to France.
And finally, Annabelle's favourite bridge is the bridge of her boyfriend's nose.
Oh,
yes. That's clever.
That's very straight.
Clever.
I would love a bridge. Mine's all bent. Yours is bent.
Yeah, I've got a
nice
bridge,
straight bridge. That's good, isn't it? Keep sending your photos to us at Sunday Brunch C4, SundayBrunch@channel4.com. I'm going to go.
All right, bye, Ethel.
See ya.
So, I'm now joined by Lebanese food writer and chef Bethany Kehdy. Welcome to Sunday Brunch.
Thank you for having me.
Apologies for the random nature of that. So, first time on the show, tell us about you.
Yeah, so I'm going to be making a Nectarine Kebbeh today with SUmac and Zaatar.
But what's your background? What's your food background?
So my food background is I basically started a blog in 2008, actually, upon moving to England. And it's just kind of spiraled from there, and I've kind of became really obsessed with it. But I've always loved and enjoyed cooking, so I've always cooked for my family. But when I lived in Lebanon, I actually cooked more like Western food than actually cooking Middle Eastern food. But when I left, obviously you miss home, so that's when you tend to start cooking all the food that you grew up eating. So that's when I started really delving into our culinary repertoire.
Well, we also have your magnificent book, The Dual Table, award-winning book.
Well, not yet. It's out now. But my first book.
So this is your first award-winning?
Yeah, so my first one was.
So The Dual Table has a specific meaning, does it not?
So, well, this book is about... my first one was The Jeweled Kitchen, and this is my second one, which is a follow-up to that one. So it's everything I didn't get to kind of put in the first one. And it's about... it's moving away from the meza mania that you get now. So everyone thinks that Middle Eastern food is all about meza, but it's actually not, especially at home. So when you're invited to, as a guest to someone's home, it's still sharing food, but there's always a very big show-stopping, not just one, there's 2 or 3 very big show-stopping mains. So it's all about whole beast cooking, a whole stuffed fish, things like that. So it focuses on that, and it focuses on the hospitality element of Middle Eastern food, which is why we have so much sharing, food for sharing.
Brilliant. Right, and what we got?
So I'll stop talking, and I'll kind of just go through what I'm going to do. So I get you to start with the nectarines. So I need to get these finely sliced with the onions, and those are going to be our filling. Meanwhile, I've got some very fine burghul here. So the essential, this is the national dish of a lot of Middle Eastern countries, and Lebanon as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knead the burghul with the onions, and this is onion juice. And then I've got the different spices here. So I've got cumin, I've got white pepper, which is a very crucial ingredient, I find. Allspice, cinnamon, some marjoram, and also some fresh zaatar. So you can see that that's green zaatar. So everyone associates zaatar now as a blend, but actually zaatar can mean a number of different herbs. It's a kind of catch-all word that we use for several different herbs. And this is green zaatar, so it's very different to the blend that everyone's used to now. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, get that kneaded, and what I like to do is season my burghul before I add it to the meat, which we've got some minced lamb over here, because then I can kind of taste and adjust the flavor. Because once you add the meat, you can't, it's raw.
With things like traditional dishes, I mean, always, you know, whenever we do anything that's a traditional dish, I mean, do you get pressure to make sure you stay to the original.
Yes, especially if you kind of come from my family. They're purists. So, you know, whenever I started kind of changing the fillings to the, you know, to this dish, for example, adding nectarines, which isn't traditional. Traditionally, they would just add loads of onions or some minced meat as a filling. You know, they just kind of boo-boo it. They're just, oh, that's not true, that's not good, that's not a real kebbeh. And then they try it, and they become a little bit more open-minded to the idea. So the following steps, so once you kind of knead that loosely, what would happen traditionally is this dish has a reputation for being a very kind of difficult dish to make, because traditionally women in the village would spend an hour pounding it down to a fine paste. So that would take about somewhere up to an hour of just getting it to the right consistency. So we're just going to pulse that like this. And then what you want to achieve, essentially, is this sort of very malleable, cohesive meat paste. And what's great about this also is you don't need to use a lot of meat. So it is a meat, you've got, you know, about 40% of it is meat, so you can stretch it with the burghul, and that's essentially what they used to do, because meat was never something that they used in cooking a lot, and they didn't use it often. So they would
I mean, we were talking before we started saying how I eat very much in this way. I like the fact when kind of meat is used as an ingredient rather than being you know, the showpiece, if you like, of every single dish.
Exactly, and this is what's so special about Middle Eastern food, is you kind of use a little bit meat. It's always sprinkled in, and it's mostly about vegetables. And this, you can make it with pumpkin, so you can it's so versatile. We've got so many varieties of kebbeh. So first things first is you get it kind of, it's very different to a British pie. So there's no pastry. So it is a pie still, technically, but just without any pastry. So we're just going to spread that out like that, create our base.
Because it's really mashed down, isn't it? It is really taking it down to being a dough almost,
so this we can, you know, there's, like I said, sometimes when it's a fresh, we like it goat's meat. And if it's fresh, we have it raw, which is a delicacy, and it's delicious.
I've had that.
Raw kebbeh.
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 I had it recently. Family do.
It's delicious.
Really amazing.
You had it in raw form. Yeah, well done. You're brave. So because I've had some people when we take them on Taste Lebanon tours, and we get them to try it, and a lot of people are very kind of, you know, it's a raw thing, but it's perfectly fine because it's usually all very fresh, and that's the point. You have it on the day.
So because you are a tremendous ambassador for Lebanese food, so you're also involved with Tastes of Lebanon.
Yes, so I have a company in Lebanon called Taste Lebanon. So we run food tours all around the country. We do urban tours, we do rural escapes, and it's all kind of focused on the cuisine of our local cuisine. So I've just put all my spices. So there's SUmac in there, which is actually we utilize that more of a spice than Zaatar. So everyone assumes Zaatar is the most popular spice in the Middle East, but it's not. SUmac is actually the spice that we use the most. And then there is Aleppo pepper in there, which I love to use instead of chili because it's kind of sweet and it's got a soft heat to it. So this is a rolled out layer from before.
I love this. This is brilliant.
There's a bit of artistry that goes on now. So I'm just gonna kind of cut away. And it's really, once you do this a few times, you get a hang of it, then it's actually just really simple. So just dab a little bit of water. And then I'll just get to the final part. You want to cut it down. So you're going to do one cross and then another, just to get 8 slices. And then this is the final part. So this is the scoring. This is just simply design. You're going to cut it across like that. So I don't know how we are on time.
Fine. You've got a couple of minutes. You're all right.
Great. So I'll do this a little bit more gracefully.
So again, if you were doing this and you didn't score it that way, would you have all of your family going, "Oh, you've not done it properly"?
No. It's more taste. It's their identity, so you can't really play around with it too much. They're used to their grandmother making it this way and their mother making it that way. So then they just they're stuck. But now, in the last 10 years, I've noticed people are a little bit more open-minded. So they have kind of opened up to the idea of tweaking a bit with the recipes.
Yeah.
So you don't get, you know, you're not going to...
You're not getting as much hate mail.
No. So I'm just going to drizzle it with olive oil. Don't panic. That is really essential. And then we just pop that into the oven.
And how long do we bake it for?
So you bake it for about 40 minutes, and I prefer mine quite crispy, so I usually just add it for another 10 minutes. I just grill it at the top for 10 minutes, and then it gets nice and crisp. So that's...
If you'd like to come over, lovely guest.
Yeah. And this is the finale. So you see it's very,
beautiful.
it's got a lovely little star shape at the top.
Not raw enough for you, though.
That's great, isn't it?
And I'm just going to go ahead and get some of that here.
Pick up knife and forks.
Just slice it. So this is delicious with yogurt. So this is a great dish that we have. It's an everyday dish that, you know, that you come home to after school, for example, or after work, traditionally. Or you also serve this at big feasts. So, you know, it passes between the two.
Would you normally have it hot or cold, or does it...
I prefer it cold, but you have it at room temperature.
Yeah.
But I personally prefer it. I prefer it the next day, in the morning.
Lovely, beautiful. Right, there's... I'm not quite sure who eats what anymore. There's lamb in here. Right, ladies and gents, have a dig in. Thank you. Brilliant.
Vegan lamb.
I'm going to let you go first this time.
Really? Okay.
I was too eager last time.
That's looking amazing.
I also forgot that we were going to eat lots of stuff, so I had like a full portion.
Steve, it's good?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to have you on. Come back and see us soon. For all of today's Sunday Brunch recipes, head to the website, channel4.com/Sunday Brunch. After the break, we're chatting to Josh and we're tasting some super sarnies with Matt Talley, the sandwich man. See you soon.
Crown and Glory, €100 per purse. Speak to team for details.
100 euros?
Yes.
What's in it? Swarovski crystals?
I can't tell you what's in it, you just have to try it.
Oh, OK. Colonel.
So when you say speak to team for details, maybe just delete that in future. 2 Crown and Glories, please.
Deliveroo, proud sponsor of Sunday Brunch.